First, I'd like to give out a special thanks to Sunset Mitsubishi of Auburn, Washington. They provided the vehicle in today's video, and without their support, this video would not be possible. They are located at 3317 Auburn Way North in Auburn, Washington, just off of 167, just east of Emerald Downs Racetrack and Casino. Hi, this is John with the Evolving World. Today I'm doing a video on a 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. This is a fully loaded GT model. The color you see is alloy silver with a black leather interior. This video will be basically shot in 4 segments. The first segment will be myself walking around the vehicle, just showing you what it looks like from the outside, zooming into some details if there's anything that kind of stands out to me, tell you my impressions of the exterior. And then the second segment will be the interior, and that's basically just stepping into the interior, looking around, pushing buttons, honking the horn, turning on the wipers, kind of playing with the video display, so all the kind of things that you might encounter when you're inside the car. Third segment will be driving impressions. I'll take it on the road, take it on some twisty roads, take it on a highway, go through a tunnel, kind of show you what impressions are as I'm driving it. And fourth segment will basically be just charging, any kind of charging issues I have or any delights that I find with the car, and then any kind of final thoughts. First thing you might notice is that the car doesn't look any different than the gas version. You have to look really close to see any differences, maybe different wheels, a couple different badges, a little bit of different in the front trim area there, lower spoiler area. It's just a little bit different, but generally they kept the overall shape looking pretty clean and pretty nice. This vehicle has actually been available since 2013 in other markets, but only now for 2018 in the US. Kind of baffling that this is the case because, this is a pretty big SUV, CUV market here, and for some reason this vehicle just never showed up until now. In fact, in Europe, it's an extremely popular vehicle, selling over 100,000 units there alone. Actually, one of the reasons why the car isn't been available and may have issues here in 2019 with availability is for that very same reason. Another reason it might be this way is because there's nobody else actually making a vehicle like this. This is actually a very unique vehicle. It's kind of the first one there. It's kind of an SUV that's actually a plug-in hybrid. It has, 22-mile range, which is pretty good, for around town. It's like not too bad. There's really nobody else making a vehicle like this at this price point. And despite being over 5 years old, this model still has 3 features that nobody else has even done yet. For example, it still is the longest range plug-in SUV out there. It's also the only plug-in hybrid with all-wheel drive. It actually has 2 motors. It has 1 motor in the front, 1 motor in the back. And it's the only plug-in hybrid with level 3 fast charging, which nobody else has done yet for some reason. Now, true, there are cars like the Tesla Model X and the Jaguar I-pace, but those are pure BEVs, at least 3 to 4 times more expensive. So it's quite a completely different category. As before mentioned, there's a motor in the front as well as in the back. Each one's 80 horsepower. The front motor has 100 pounds of torque and the rear motor has 144 pounds of torque. There's also a 2-liter 4-cylinder in the front of the car. It has 117 horsepower, 137 pounds of torque, but it is designed to be basically a generator. It's capable of charging the car up to 70 kilowatts per hour. It also has a level 3 fast charger unit that's capable of charging the car up to 50 kilowatts per hour. Basically, the gas engine can outspeed the level 3 charger. Also, if you try driving the car down a really steep hill and regen brake, you could probably accomplish the same effect as well. Since the car weighs 4,333 pounds, it's not exactly a lightweight vehicle. The 0 to 60 time is 9.2 seconds. And this brings us to the battery pack. The battery pack size is a 12 kilowatt battery pack. The cells in the pack are actually manufactured by a company called GS Yusen. And it does have thermal management, but it's an air-cooled variety. It's not liquid-cooled like a lot of the competition. So once again, doing things a little bit differently. The only real noticeable difference between the gas version and the EV version is you lose the 3rd row seat, which is not exactly roomy or big to begin with. I got a chance to sit in that on another car, and it's not exactly comfortable or easy to get to. So it's really no big loss. But the battery pack lives in that same position there. Of course, one of the nice things about a bigger SUV is the space. So the car still has 34.2 cubic feet of space with the second seat up. And if you fold that seat down, it increases it to 63.3, which is pretty large. So I've inserted an original equipment list of this specific vehicle. This is a fully loaded model, and this has a list of all the additional stuff that's standard in addition. So you can freeze frame this and study it at your own pace. So very nice roomy back seat, lots of headroom, lots of foot room. Now this car does not have the third row. That's one thing you don't get with the electric version, is you don't get the third row seat. So unlike the gas cars, these seats are not adjustable. They're just in one fixed position. The gas cars, that you can actually fold these seats or move these seats forward to gain access to the rear, but we don't have that on this one. I think it's kind of interesting. Like in the back there's a 120 volt AC plug instead of a 12 volt. This can go up to 1500 watts. That's a little different. Just plug in your household items as opposed to having a 12 volt adapter. And this is a fully loaded model, so it has the nicest interior. It's got all this, it's all leather and nice contrast stitching here. And this is 60 folding seats. So how you fold these seats is first you push here, like that, and then you come down here and there's number 2. You push on this, and it does that, pretty much all one-handed. And then you just reach up here, number 3, like that. And that's how the seats fold. You can pretty much do that with one-hand operation. This is pretty much flat right here. Oh. So this is the fully loaded model, as I mentioned before. So it pretty much has all the bells and whistles, at least what they have available. Got power folding mirrors, which is always nice. We have adjustable height or angle headlights too, which is kind of cool. That's something that the LEAF had, in the RAV4 EV also had the adjustable headlights, which is kind of cool. Kind of adjust it a little bit. This has all the lane departure warning. You can turn most of this stuff off if you don't like it. It's the power operation for the trunk right here. Let me go ahead and just hit that. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work. Traction control off. This being a PHEV, it's it has different modes, so you can turn the electric off or turn the gas off, depending on what your preference is. And then of course it will revert back to gas when electricity charges out, which is what we're pretty close to right now, actually. It's actually got quite a lot of safety features here. I'm probably not going to be able to go to all of the details. Cruise control. What's different about this? It's got these paddle shifters here, which you use that to adjust your regen braking. There's like 5 different modes of B mode when you go into brake mode down here, which I'll describe a little bit more when we're driving. It basically just changes the level of regen. So light displays. It's kind of an analog display, which some people prefer that. Other people not so much. I'm kind of in the middle on that. Once you get used to digital, you kind of prefer that, I find. But nevertheless, it's just one way to do it. Shows us our battery charge and then our gasoline charge, or gasoline in the tank. Yeah, another thing about the driving, the seating position, the seats are actually really comfortable. The seating position is, you feel like you're more upright position. You feel like you're kind of sitting like up or high, like you want to put your arm on the windowsill here. Like it feels like almost more like a Land Rover kind of feeling of sitting up high, kind of more commanding kind of view. I guess kind of more typical SUV, I guess. Not all of these make the most sense, though. I have to say that, as you can see here, we have a power on button right here, but as you can see, it's kind of hidden back there. I mean, you have to kind of maneuver back down in here to push it. You can't really just point at it. You have to kind of reach down in there a little bit. It's kind of, you can kind of see where the original location was for the ignition. Got the backup cameras, surround cameras. This is actually very handy to have. And so there's no nav in this car, so it has the more modern way of thinking, I guess, where you have your phone. You basically run everything off your phone, so it has Android Auto and it has Apple CarPlay. So basically the idea is that you just plug in your phone and then use your phone to do all that kind of stuff. Once again, this depends on if you like that or if you have that service, but if you don't, it's probably would be nice to have a nav system, but they chose to go that way. I guess that's what the majority of people do, so. There's all kinds of options here. It's got like a lot of different type of lots of information here. Displays up here and down here. It's interesting. GPS. So it knows your latitude and your longitude, but it doesn't have navigation. That's kind of interesting. We know where we're at, but it won't show you any kind of maps. Here, interesting. So, there we go. So you have to push that button in to get it active, then hold this. Or maybe not. AC 1500 watt. This must activate the power outlets in the back. Looks like you have a manual control over that. That's how I would read that, since that matches the outlets in the back. So no 12 volt in the back, but 1500 watt AC instead. This is our heated steering wheel right here. Interesting thing about this steering wheel is it heats, but it only heats from about here down to about here or so. So right where your hands are supposed to be. Actually, maybe it's more like down here somewhere. Kind of where that stitching is right here, where there's like this little joint right here. So just above it and then just below it. So right about from about here down to about here. So nothing down here, nothing up here. That's a little different. This is how we turn our EV mode on or off. Then our heated seats are down here. Okay, some USB ports. And we do have a 12 volt here, 120 watt rated. Split little place up here for the owner's manual. Separate little shelf up here, and room down below. Kind of a smaller sunroof, not too big. It's kind of only like maybe, what is that, 12 inches wide or so. Still always nice to have a sunroof though. And we do have a shield, so that's good. Nice solid shield. God, these things feel a little firm right here. Just This is really notchy right here. Maybe that will soften up as it gets to be worn a little bit. Of course, it has home link, so you have your different garage door or gates or whatever. 3 settings here. A little compass right here. My driving impressions are pretty favorable. I like the way it drives. It drives pretty smooth and everything. You know, it is an SUV, so it's one of the few cars that you can get that's an SUV that's actually electric, at least for the first 22 miles or so, which is pretty cool. So if you do need that SUV experience, this is one of the few cars you can get that kind of provides that. When the battery is fully depleted, what will happen is the engine will kick in and it will charge up the battery to a certain degree, and then it will revert back to electric mode. So I'm back in electric mode now, and as long as I keep a light throttle here, it seems like it will maintain electric mode here, even though it's showing no range. So there's probably always going to be a little bit of battery range there, even when it shows like 0. You definitely have some more charge in there. So it kind of drives more like a Volt in the way that it tries to run off electric as much as it can. So the engine will only kick in just to charge up the battery a little bit, and then quickly turn back off again to try to maintain electric charge as much as possible without idling the electric without idling the gas engine. So we're back in electric mode again. Everything's shut off. Eco mode seems to adjust the throttle response a little bit. It just kind of dulls it down a little bit. So if you tend to be heavy footed, kind of softens it up a little bit. So we'll take it on the freeway. Back in electric, it only cycles the engine on when it needs it. It tries to stay in electric mode as much as possible. I'm still in electric mode. Now I'm sure once I mash the throttle here, it's going to kick in, the engine will. Actually, it just turned on right there. It picks up really nicely. Lane departure warning there. I think I was going out of my lane, but apparently it thought I was. Okay, so this car has the added benefit of having a fast charge capability. Doesn't appear to be any kind of information on what our status is though. Let's see here. It's interesting, when I plugged in it says it had 2 miles range, but when I plugged in it said it was at 38% already. I did have some issues with the charging. When I turned the car on, for some reason the charger stopped, and there was no clear indication as to why I was doing it. So there should be some sort of percent state of charge indicator, and I could not find anything. That's a serious omission. Also, the level 2 charger is limited only to 3.3 kilowatts, which is like half the speed of many other cars for some reason. Don't know why. Well, that's going to do it for this review of a 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you did. Many more videos to come.